You are now tuned into the Day in the Life of Corey podcast, a podcast about dating, entrepreneurship, and much, much more. Here's your host, Corey.
Welcome to another episode of a Day in the Life of Corey podcast. I'm your host, Corey. Today I want to bring a special guest. This is one of my friends from way back, first grade, years ago. We've been knowing each other for years. He's actually in the Atlanta area right now. I'm going to let him introduce himself.
What's going on, world? This is David C.E. I'm also known as the Food Guru. And like I said, me and Corey go back to grade school, like sandbox, man. Like we've been through it all. So I'm glad to be a part of it, man. Glad you had me on today, man.
I appreciate you coming on, man. Appreciate you coming on.
Definitely.
He's in the food industry. Go ahead and give him a little background about
just my food background.
Yeah, your food background. How many years?
I've been in the culinary industry for probably the better part of 25 to 30 years. I know that sounds like wow, but yeah, I've been cooking since I was a kid. But I've been in the business since I was probably 15, 16. First job was in restaurants, and I went from dishwashers all the way up to becoming a general manager. And now I do what we call culinary consulting. I basically, when people open restaurants, I come in and help them put together menus, streamline it, and show them on ways to maximize their potential in their restaurants, so they don't go out of business in 18 months, 3 years.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Given an example of a restaurant maybe you have helped in the past, something you had to do when you say you consult. You're a consultant. We understand what it is, but what do you have to do? What are you trying to do? What's your goal in most cases when you're working with the companies?
It's helping them. Like a lot of times, a lot of restaurants don't understand like the values of knowing food costs and waste, and throwing stuff away or ordering too much stuff, and different things like that. So I've worked in many different restaurants to help them figure things out. I've worked at one. They were an Irish pub, but they also were selling, doing like American food too. But they didn't get a lot of sales on their American food, like the Irish food sold pretty good. So they brought me in because they wanted me to redo their menu to give it more, I'm not going to say flair, but to change up the concept of how they prepare a lot of their foods, American style foods, for it to appeal more to the American base. So I just came in and basically just rewrote the entire menu of a lot of their foods, their appetizers, created like actual concept for burgers instead of just ordering a burger, add lettuce, add tomato, add this. We would come in and create a name. Like we say, you go to a restaurant, you order a cowboy burger. You're just gonna get the barbecue sauce, the bacon, the cheddar cheese, onion ring on top of it. Instead of just doing regular stuff, we start recreating the menu and giving it names and details and stuff like that.
So basically, you're taking the company out of the red, and you're making the food more desirable you're making the food more desirable. And then at the same time, you getting the company out of red. I'm assuming sometimes it's going to be financial issues.
Financial is a lot of times.
Is it always the time, or always the case, or?
A lot of the times it's financial, and sometimes people want to be proactive, because in restaurant business, it's always better to be proactive than reactive. You want to solve the problem before the problem actually comes.
In life,
in life too, definitely. So they would have me come in, and like I said, a lot of times I would go in like a blind customer, and I want to get a feel from the time I walk into the door, to sit down and order my food, see how other customers are acting and interacting with employees. So I'm sitting there, as a critic. So I'm observing everything that goes on in restaurants, and then I come back and meet with the owners, and I'm like, okay, when I walked in the door, I stood there for 2 minutes before I was even greeted. That's automatic F. So if I'm standing there waiting to come in, and I'm a customer, and I'm not being greeted, and you're not giving me that warm welcome, 8 times out of 10, I'm going to take my money somewhere else. So I come in and let them know what a lot of the small problems are that they may not even realize is going on in their restaurants. And these are the things that cost a lot of restaurants money: is customer service, number one. Food presentation is going to be another one. It has to look appetizing. It has that look, that smell, that flavor, before you eat it. So I show them and point things out like that they may not know. Food presentation is one of the biggest things in the restaurant business.
Yeah, I heard you mention there's like different types of restaurants. Like I guess the way they set up, you said something about like a fast, I don't know.
Fast casual.
Okay.
It's like what a lot of restaurants are right now. It's called because there used to be casual dine in, and then there was fast food. So you either went and sat down at a restaurant, or you went to a fast food place. So they created a fast casual concept that still gives you the sit down aspect, but you're not waiting that 15, 20, 30 minute time on food. You can still get it in 7 to 10 minutes. But it's still a sit-down style restaurant. So that concept now over the last 10 years has pretty much been the blueprint for most restaurants that's coming out now.
Okay.
So like I said, a lot of people, so if you're looking to get in the restaurant business, a lot of times you're thinking, I want people to come in, eat, and get out quick. Because we call it the turn and burn. The faster you turn and burn them, the more customers you get in and get out, the more money you generate. So a lot of times you go to the fast casual concept because you want people to come and sit down and eat, but you want them gone in 20 minutes as opposed to an hour and a half. You know, like in the old school, customers sit there at the restaurant for an hour and a half. They might tip $15, $20, but in that hour and a half, if you turn the burn, I could only turn the table over 4 times. It made $5, $10, $15. I'm talking tip wise. It's for the waiter, but for the person who's running the restaurant. You came and ordered, and you've been at my table for an hour and a half. So that's an hour and a half that I haven't made money off that table.
So they really don't want you to be there that long.
Exactly. They want you to come in,
like,
enjoy yourself.
So?
30 minutes. They want you out the door because they're ready to put somebody else in the table and keep generating money. So the thing about the restaurant business, you look at every table as money.
Right.
With a time limit. I want you in here and out. I want you to come in, get your food 7 to 10 minutes, sit and eat 15 minutes, 25 to 30 minutes. I want your whole experience to be out the door. But a lot of restaurants right now, they want people to sit around and linger, and then they're soaking up time on your table, so that table's not making money right now.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this question. Since you've been in the business so long, I'm assuming you're still working now during COVID. How has that affected what you guys are doing?
COVID has affected a lot of people because a lot of people aren't able to come to work. You got people that are like single moms, single dads, that it's hard to come to work because my child is at home now. So I used to run restaurants that had 15, 20 people on my staff. Now I'm only having 6 and 7. So everybody's work at the job has increased because there's not enough bodies to do the job. So you used to only have 2 things to do. Now my employee has 4 things to do. So that's been one of the biggest effects, is being able to get all the things you do on a daily basis done without as many people as you're used to having.
Has it been increasing money or?
For the owners, it increased the money, but not for me. The bottom line was, I'm used to paying 12 people, 15 people on my staff. Now I'm only paying 6.
Okay.
So I'm saving money.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I'm having less sales. So it counteracts itself.
Right. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So it's still a balance.
So it's not so much they doing so much more work because you don't have as many people come in as
it's
usually.
It's just not as many people there to do it.
Right,
Work still has to be done. You might not, like I said, we used to prep, like let's say before COVID, we was prepping 4 pans of something. Now I'm only prepping 2 pans at a time because I don't get as many customers per day.
Prep, you mean as far as like the food you're getting ready
to serve for the day or whatever. Okay. So I will prep less because I'm counting on doing less sales. So I don't want to have less food carrying over. So I got less product going bad. So I'm maximizing my food costs. So if I'm still doing the same prep with less people and less clientele, I'm losing money because I'm gonna be throwing food away by the end of the day or over 2 to 3 days, depending on the shelf life of some of your foods.
Right. So question.
Yeah.
With everything going on with the pandemic and everything, if you did have to get into the food business, would you go with a traditional restaurant, sit down restaurant, dine in, or would you go with like a food truck or a trailer or anything else you may want, you mention or whatever?
Me, because I'm such a weird person, and I've embraced the fact that I know I'm weird. I think way differently than most people. So my thought for restaurants would not be a restaurant. So, but when I tell everybody say restaurant, we all think of the same thing. Traditional. Yeah. But like I tell a lot of the when I do consulting work, I ask the person first, what type of food service business do you want? I don't say restaurant. And they look at me like, why do you say that? I say, because there's so many different kinds. They look at me like, huh? I was like, do you want a bar and grill?
Okay.
Do you want a tavern?
Okay.
Do you want a diner? Do you want a lounge? And then they look at me like, oh, like, yeah, all those require different foods, different ambiances, different setups. I mean, there's actually, a lot of people don't know, like a bar and grill and a tavern are actually two different places. A tavern is one of the few places you can still go and actually smoke cigarettes inside of it.
To this day?
To this day.
Even
like,
with the new
rules,
and all
most restaurants, you can't go and smoke inside.
Yeah, I didn't know that was
taverns are one of the few restaurants that are still licensed to be able to smoke.
What is it, a different layout or?
It's a different layout because of the smoking. And like in some restaurants, you either smoke outside or they have a smoking section way over in the back.
Right.
And the tavern, the main part of the restaurant, is a smoking section. So when you first come into the restaurant, the first section you come into is the non-smoking section, right by the door, so it stays aired out. Once you go past that door to the next door, you're in the smoking section. So places like that, like I said, so tavern, like so you want to open a tavern or a cigar lounge or different places like that, you have different rules and regulations depending on what you're serving. You're serving food, okay, you're doing alcohol and food, okay, you're doing like I said, like a cigar lounge, so now you got cigars and different things like that also mixed in with food. So there's going to be different sets of rules on how you regulate, especially when it comes to the food aspect, because you have more health code violation, dangerous things around your food. So you have to.
You say dangerous things like what?
Like in a normal restaurant, like I said, like if you're running a cigar lounge, there's the cigar smoke, there's all the other stuff going ashes and different things like that floating through your restaurant. So you have to make sure your kitchen is completely closed off. Because the airflow can't come in there and get into your food.
Gotcha.
So you're gonna have to section off your kitchen differently than if you were to have a different style restaurant. Because some restaurant, like you said, you go, they have the glass windows. You can see all the cooks behind them.
Right.
They call it making it honest, because if you can see me, then if I drop this steak, I can't pick it up right now and throw it back on the grill. I know, wink, wink, we know some people have done before. So not saying that I've done it, but I've said we all have those restaurant horror stories that we tell, or that when we worked there, when we was 15. And
give me one of them, then we're going to go back to what type you would start.
One of the restaurant horror stories.
Yeah, name names, but
no naming names. Yeah. There was a guy who was grilling fish on an open face grill. Not like a flat top, like when you cook burgers on. This one is like a barbecue pit, like a grill pit. And he's cooking the fish on there. When he spatulas it, get ready to flip it over, the fish hits the floor. The guy scoops the fish up, put it back on the grill, finish cooking it. Then I watched this guy put the fish in the box for the to-go order. I watched him. He said a prayer over the box and then sent the food out. I'm like, why are you praying over the? I mean, you praying you don't kill no. Like I'm getting it, but I'm like, I'm just mortified at that point, And that's a lot of times why people don't like to go out to eat, because if you've experienced this hard stuff, if you've worked there, you don't want to go out to eat no more. So me being in the restaurant business, I'm almost terrified to go out to eat anywhere, because I'm looking from an analytical point, because I know so much.
So what is that saying for me? I need to stop going out?
No, I'm not saying you need to stop going out, but one thing I like to tell a lot of people is a lot of people don't realize when you go into restaurants, like when you go into the drive-through, a lot of restaurants, you see that health code score on that window, that 95, 98, 100. When you go into a lot of these restaurants, go look at their health score. Because if there's not 100 on your health score, what did you fail on? I need to know. Did you fail on the cleanliness issue? Yeah, you have to post
right there on
what
they lost points on.
Yeah, it's all marked off on it. But a lot of people, they see it. Oh, they got a 94. Oh, they got good food. Well, what was the 6 points counted off for? You don't even think about that. The 6 points counted off for people in the back weren't wearing gloves. The 6 points could have been counted off before food wasn't properly dated and rotated, so you might be serving old stuff. Like, you got to look and see what those off points were. And then, we got points for, somebody was in the kitchen and didn't have a hat on. No big deal. Okay, that's no big deal. But no hat or no hairnet mean I might get a hair string in my food. So I have to weigh those pros and cons out. So a lot of times people go in the restaurant, they look at the score, they go sit down and order. Because they're always a 95, that's an 8. No, this ain't high school, this not a grade like that. But they don't think about it like that. But I've been trained to, so I can't shut my brain off. So if I go into a restaurant, within the first 5 minutes, if anything rubs me wrong, I leave. I mean, I might put a tip, I might have only gotten no water. I still tip you $4 or $5, but I'm gonna leave because mentally I'm not gonna enjoy myself at that point.
I got you.
Because if I see that, my mind gonna start turning. What else y'all doing in here?
Absolutely.
So at that point, I might as well just go home and fix me a ham and cheese sandwich and eat some potato chips and call it a night, because I'm not gonna be happy eating there.
Okay, I'm gonna get back to the original question.
Okay,
what type would you start? What would you start?
Well, back to
now with everything's going on. Just say this is going to be like this for the next 5 years. Lord knows, I hope it doesn't. But say it does.
Okay. I would factor in the fact that you have to have distance. in it. So I would look for a larger space. I would have.
So you would do a traditional restaurant, an actual physical building. You wouldn't do like a food truck or.
No, I mean I like the mobile aspect of food trucks. I've thought about doing one before. Like if I had a outside like a setup business, I would get a food truck as well, so I could hit like those venues to promote my main restaurant. You know, and use it that way. But I would do a main restaurant only because I'm a fan of creating new type of experiences to go out to. So like people that created the Top Golf, you can go and putt and do that type of stuff and eat food. People that came up with the Dave and Buster's, you can play video games and bowl and like I think from that aspect. So I'm like, let me create something where you can come and have fun as well as get great food. Okay. You know,
so what would your
I would incorporate like putt, you know, like a miniature putt golf thing. So I would have like maybe 2 or 3 little miniature putt holes that you can play around. And I'm really into the medieval stuff, so I'm really fascinated by crossbows. I always like people always put like batting cages in their places and stuff like that. So I would switch it up and do something like with crossbows and targets, so you can like shoot like at targets and stuff like that, and give people a different type of experience when they go out. So you go out and order food and have fun, but you can go over there and shoot the crossbow a couple of times or go putt.
What type of crossbow would this be? Would this be like a crossbow or more of a
the pistol kind? Because not everybody got that strength to pull back that. You know, the old school, like bow and arrow. So
would that cause any type of? Would you have like something set up where it would?
That would be individualized, like bays.
Okay,
like you could rent it out for like 10 minutes or 15 minutes.
I thought that caused some type of insurance issue. That's what I'm asking. Something like that. You still
have to sign a waiver because it's crossbows. Because it's crossbows. If you've been trying to shoot your buddy in the arm, we're not liable.
But you wouldn't have the type of crossbow that has the type of.
No, you can get the rubber dart. You get the rubber tips, or you can get the like the aloe.
No liability. Aluminum. Well, I wouldn't say no liability, but it wouldn't be.
There's different ways around it. Like you can get the rubber tips, or like there'll be metal tip with rubber arrows, so that they don't go that far.
Okay, gotcha.
And then you get
more like something you would have in a game room.
Exactly, it would be like a game room type scenario. But you could come rent it for like 10 or 15 minutes and get like unlimited arrows to shoot for like 15 minutes. Right. And you get like block time.
So you want something that you would add the fun factor to.
Exactly. Because right now people can't get out. It's already can't. Like I said, you said the next 5 years.
No, I'm just saying
if it next 3 to 5 years. I want to create a situation where if you come
hopefully
out,
come up with something pretty soon. But just say it did.
If it did, think about
now how would this business work after
after COVID.
Yeah.
The only difference would be I said, I would do space, so I would have my tables more spaced out, so I would have less tables because of COVID, space wise. So once COVID's over with, I can put more tables in there. And so now I can turn and burn more tables and generate more income. So I just want to do it right now to sustain and maintain, maybe not make a serious profit, but just to create and survive, COVID. Then once COVID is over, then push for the profit.
Okay. And I know you've been in the restaurant game for a long time, so you've been in all different types of restaurants.
Yeah.
I know this for a fact because I personally know you. So what type of food would you serve there? What do you see being your best? With that type of atmosphere, what type of food would you have? Because I know you probably would only have a certain type of food with that type of atmosphere.
Yeah, that type of atmosphere, you would do what we call quick eat or finger food, stuff that you could like hold like it in one hand and eat it with one hand. So like a burger you could eat with one hand, wings, stuff like you eat with one hand, pizza slices, or stuff like that you could eat with one hand as opposed to having to sit down and eat it. So it's more of a you got those taller like bar tables, but you don't have any chairs because people can just stand around them. So it's like a communion table. Okay. But like I said, it still be spaced out so 3 or 4 people can commune at this one table, with their stand up eating their sandwiches and stuff. But then still have an area where people want to sit down and eat. We still have something on a more of a I always like to say gourmet because I like to think of it as an art. You know what I'm saying? I'm not just putting a hamburger and fries on a plate. I'm still putting it with some decor to give it some appeal. So whatever it would be, even if you came and got fried chicken or this and this and that, we would still do it in a more presentable way so that even though it's a fun environment, you still looking at a gourmet style plate in this fun environment. So it's like, okay, I can let my kids go over there and have some fun, and me and my husband or whoever, wife can sit down here and have an actual nice kind of a meal. Okay. So that's how I would look at it, right? Like I said, being with COVID going on and being everybody's always trying to do the same style traditional restaurants. Everybody think the same 3 or 4 different style restaurants. So it's like think outside the box.